长征讲。明白。03号讲。明白。09号讲。明白。08号讲。明白。 您7号讲。明白。各号注意，我是0号，收集30分钟准备情况。神舟12号。先锋。长征讲。明白。各号注意，我是0号，15分钟准备。东风。
东风明白。
长征。神舟。
各号注意，
神舟12号。
东风。
Yeah, the private market, the private space market, it seems to be it's a new and it's emerging market right here in China.
华夏明白。
And earlier, I have investigated some of this the private company in China's Yizhuang. There was many company right there, and also I think the company that Mr. Yang you work for have already got this the commercial rocket, right?
I come from a state company.
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
a satellite maker. I launched one of my satellite with a private company. We provide the launch services. Oh, okay. All the ground staff are called to withdraw from the launch pad.
You heard the command from the control center. All the ground staff
Yes.
needs to be evacuated right now, indicating it's a go for the launch. Things
Yes.
are entering the final stages.
So you can see almost all the rotational platform has been opened, so no need for the ground staff there. So they will leave. But still, as I mentioned, some arms are connected to the vehicle with the cables and pipes to have the telemetry and mirroring signals from the vehicle.
There, see the bus taking the ground staff away from the launch tower. They will retreat to safe zone, I guess at least 1.5 kilometers away from the launch pad.
Yes.
Well, last time in Wenchang, when China launches the core module, we see a lot of this the ordinary people who comes to the beach to watch this the launching event. What about this time? Can the ordinary people comes to Jiuquan to watch?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Center?
I've seen some posts on the social medias in China. Some of private companies organize tourists to watch the launch.
The tour.
Yeah.
But you can speculate from a distance away, about a few kilometers.
Yeah.
You have mentioned the commercial or the private companies. It is very interesting that all the orbital launches attempted also performed in this Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. Two of them, including the Beijing Interstellar Glory and the Galactic Energy, performed their orbital launches successfully in China. So we now have two private companies which can provide these orbital launch services.
All right, 12 minutes to go till launch.
And talk about China's the private space market, and I also realized that was not just for the rocket, but also for satellites. The satellites is the big parts of the market, right?
Yeah. There are more companies engaged in making satellites. You know, that's for launch services is really relatively complex. Not only you should have the ability to making the launch vehicles, but also there are many security issues. For instance, we discussed about the falling area of the substages. We must dealing with these kind of issues. So this is more complex, and for the satellites is relatively easier. Especially, you know, that many universities in China already have their own satellites. Some are even for the educational purposes. Even it's very interesting that there is some science outreach, science population satellites made by high school students. So this is also very interesting.
And will there be joint flights? Since you mentioned the commercial use of space flights, will there be joint flights of Chinese and foreign astronauts in the near future?
It is quite possible. During the announcement yesterday, the China Manned Space Agency, Mr. Ji Xing, has mentioned the foreign astronauts are trained in China. Several people, I can still remember that Ms. Samantha Christopher Ferretti were trained in Qingdao in the rescue training. And our astronaut Ye Guangfu also were trained in Europe in the cave training. So we have cooperations, and in the future, I believe that sooner or later we can see the foreign astronauts taking the Shenzhou spaceship to our station.
That was the big countdown clock on the screen you just saw there saying a scheduled liftoff. We're less than 10 minutes away. You're seeing that huge rocket, Long March 2F right there, still attaching to the umbilical tower. And those umbilical cords are expected to be detached seconds, 40 seconds to 50 seconds ahead of launch.
So China's space station program has involved so many partners from the international community, including the Europe Space Agency. And can you just tell us how we cooperated and what fields we cooperated?
We have a close cooperation with Russia before.
Russia?
Our astronauts were trained in Russia during the 1990s.
So I just want to translate this to our viewers. There you see the monitoring screen. The temperature is 23.6 degrees Celsius. The wind direction is 2.2 meters per second. And there's also the visibility and humidity monitoring status there.
The commander has announced the accurate launch time because the launch time is determined by the orbit of our Tianhe module.
And it's down to seconds, right? The launch time, exact launch time is 9:22:27 seconds.
Exactly.
The sky's clear today.
A good
It's gonna
day
be
for
a good
launch.
day for launch.
And just show on the big screen in the control center that the wind speed is 2.7 meters. Not a very high speed, just fit for launch. And also the air around the 9000 Satellite Launch Center is very clear. Visibility can reach to 30 kilometers. Very good condition. If we are lucky enough, maybe we can see from the telescope, which can record the separation between the first stage and the second stage.
We should be able to see the strap-on boosters released from the ground.
Yes.
If we have a clear sky, see a bit of cloud, but should be able to visit. Should be able to see it on visible sites. This separation of the strap-on boosters.
And an escape tower has been activated about 5 minutes before the launch. I think
It's even longer.
it's a little longer.
Because you know that at this moment, if anything wrong happened, the emergency escape will work.
Will work.
Well, so once the astronauts are in the capsule and the hatch is closed, then the escape tower is armed.
Are armed.
So they're ready to go, shooting
So
off.
anytime.
Yeah.
We're standing by.
There should be a safety plan at any minute.
Yes.
All the way to the station.
Many years before, during the development of the Shenzhou spaceship, Mr. Yuan Jiajun, who is also a former leader of China Manned Space Program, mentioned the first important test is the zero altitude escape test, which ignited the emergency escape tower from
the launch pad.
from the
ground.
ground.
From
From
the
this
ground.
position, yes.
Yes,
And that went well. That was successful.
that was successful.
But the escape tower is not going to come all the way down to the orbit,
So
right? It's going to be.
if the launch goes smoothly, the first critical action after the pitch over will be the jettisoning of the escape tower. Because in a certain altitude, the aerodynamic forces will be smaller than the liftoff in the low altitude, so no need for the escape tower. Then in a certain area, in a certain period, will depend on the escape engines, on the payload fairing. And after that, after the fairing is jettisoned, so it's already in an almost vacuum condition, and if anything wrong happened, the spaceship can use its own engines to leave the launch vehicle.
So is this escape tower going to be ejected even before the booster?
Before the fairing.
Actually, it is the
Before
first
the booster,
separation.
yes.
Yeah.
So
The first
critical move.
separation will be the jettisoning of the escape tower. Happened about 2 minutes after launch.
We will see that in just a few moments. We're getting really close. A little more than 5 minutes to go till the final liftoff.
我是宁浩，收集15分钟，准备情况，先锋。
The astronauts are still, I think they're still watching their,
Flight manuals.
just reading their flight manual. They just need to repeat that again and again.
I wonder how they feel at this moment. I mean, going into space would be the lifetime dream for every astronaut, right? I guess there will be boundless joy for.
Is there any
everyone
other
of them.
instrument that has been connected on those on the body
Yes,
of those astronauts?
exactly.
To,
They will monitoring the parameter, the biological parameters of their body. It
You
will
can see
be
their
also
heart rate,
Yeah,
respiration
heart rate.
status. Ah.
if they don't feel not better, we can stop the whole procedure to deal with that.
well,
In fact, we monitor this all the time.
that's right. I figure.
T-minus 5 minutes.
But from our earlier experience, the figure can show that all of those astronauts have been well trained and they can keep pretty calm. even before the launch.
Usually they are very calm during the launch.
They're really
Even
calm.
during any emergencies.
That's right.
Life-threatening emergencies. They're
You see,
trained
they
for
were
that.
still very relaxed in their postures, and,
Yeah.
and now they're getting you ready for the launching position. So they have folded their legs to their appropriate position. So even 5 minutes before, they were still, like relaxing.
That's right.
Checking their seat belts, checking
that-
their knee guards.
They're gonna put down everything and ready for the launch in 2 or 3 minutes.
And we're getting really close.
神舟12号
That's the live image from the control center at the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. There you see Vice Premier
神舟
Han
12
Zheng
号
watching this launch among the audience. This is like picture coming from the Beijing Aerospace City. Vice Premier Han Zheng among other senior leaders and officials. There you see Central Military Vice Chairman of the Central Military Chief there. That was Zhang Youxia. You just saw there. So these are top level officials. They're watching. That really speaks volume about how important Beijing sees this mission.
And we
it's a
just
good
realized.
occasion,
Yeah.
It's a good occasion and good timing for celebrating the party's 100 years.
It's a moment of pride too. This is Xu Qiliang, the other vice chairman of Central Military Commission. He is watching this launch very closely at the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center,
各号注
among
意，
other
我是您号，
leaders.
3分钟准备。
So we've got two groups of high-level leaders watching this launch from
各号注意，3分
Beijing
钟准备。
and also at Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. All right, 3 minutes to go till launch. And it's interesting, it's usually quiet at launch control around this time as we're getting close to time zero. Not much calm going on there except for a few simple commands and the final countdown. And that's because the final status checks by now has all been completed. And that's a good sign. You don't want to hear too much noises around this time.
Yeah, they have a set of code of conduct is already undergoing, so everything went well. So they're everything being quiet. If anyone raises a voice, that means there's an anomaly.
I believe at this moment the electrical supply has already transferred from ground to the interior batteries.
2 minutes to go. A nerve-wracking moment. I mean, for the flight crew, for the whole launch team, and for all of us who are watching. As much as this is a moment for excitement, it's also a moment for anxiety, isn't it?
And also the launching schedule is really tight for the China Space Station program. And
Yeah,
we,
this year,
we
next
witnessed
year.
the first core module launch in the end of the April, and we saw the cargo ship
Yeah.
just launched to the orbit just following maybe it's a few weeks later.
Even the cargo ship was delayed for a
Delayed.
week, but was successfully launched
Yeah.
into
That's
space.
right.
Yeah.
And right now, for the astronauts who are waiting there for launch, there's really not much they can do for this period of time. They're strapped in, things are out of their hands. They're relying on their team to get them out there safely.
Yeah.
There we see the crew of Shenzhou 12 mission in the middle,聶海胜, the flight commander, and alongside with him are the flight engineers, Liu Guoming and
Tang
各
Tang
号
Hebo.
注
Hebo.
意，
Yes.
我是您号，1分钟准备。
All right, that's the call out. T minus 60 seconds. An incredible moment to witness.
You can
Truly
see the
majestic view.
astronauts are ready, in their ready position.
Yeah,
我是您号。
they're ready.
Yeah, and soon we're going to see the umbilicals being detached. That's going to happen from any moment from now.
The arms will be finally
There you see
attached.
the retractable arm has been rolled back.
Wow. The historic moments is coming. And
30秒。
30 seconds till launch. The first crewed mission destined for Tiangong China Space Station on board the Shenzhou 12 spacecraft. less than 20 seconds to go.
and the Shenzhou 12 will be聶海胜third space out.
That's right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
点火。
Ignition. You see the booster kicking in. And liftoff.
Liftoff.
Just spectacular. The launch of Shenzhou 12 spacecraft heading to the Chinese space station. The divine vessel shipping away from its spaceport. Its destination, the Heavenly Palace. 3 astronauts on board the Shenzhou 12 spacecraft will be ferried to the core module of China's space station. And of course, you're hearing the voices from the launch team providing tracking status, saying things are going good. That's the sound we'd like to hear. We have different ground tracking stations.
Okay, it's pitch over. Change its direction of flight.
All right. And
Wow,
that's
this
the
is-
view of the side boosters. You're looking down at the tail of the rocket.
This is a camera on the second
on the
stage.
Major event coming up is the separation of the escape tower, right? That's going to happen about 2 minutes into the
2
flight.
minutes.
And because the sky today is really clear, so we have a beautiful view.
Clear
of the,
visual.
Yeah, we can have the clear visual of the rockets coming, the launching off into the sky, and
Right. The
That's-
astronauts, they look fine to me. They look okay.
yeah.
And keep in mind, the rocket has 4 side boosters. Those are the 2 out of the 4 you're watching there.
So is that supposed to be the period that the astronaut feel very uncomfortable?
Yes,
It's
that's
speeding
the
up?
very
It's
very
speeding up?
beginning period.
They
Yes.
were already experiencing the G load.
Yeah.
All right.
When we'll see peak G load?
The separation before the first stage.
Okay. So
Alright,
we're
so it's
not
not
there
coming
yet.
yet.
Yeah.
The
As
G-forces are
the
increasing.
First thing would be the separation of the strap-on boosters.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
the first one will be
the
setting of
escape
the
tower.
emergency escape tower.
If everything goes
Oh.
right, we're going to see the escape
Several
tower
seconds.
jettison
we
in a
won't be
few
able
moments.
to see it on the camera because this camera was looking down to the strap-on boosters.
Oh, that's the 3D
simulation.
animation.
Yeah.
That animation is based on
Yeah, that's the
real-time
escape
telemetry.
tower.
Okay,
Yeah, that's the
that's the
escape tower.
separation of the escape tower that we just saw there. And you heard the call out.
And
That's
then
the infrared
150
image.
seconds will be the separation of the 4 boosters.
A great infrared image showing you a successful separation of the escape tower, really indicating the low-level flight, the initial stage of the flight went well.
That's in fact an infrared camera that is looking at the rocket itself.
Right.
So this is the video
Again, the
feed.
side boosters.
show
Coming up
separation.
next is
No.
Booster
the
separation.
booster separation.
Yep.
And first stage,
Yeah,
well,
Great.
there
yeah,
you see
separation.
the booster
The
separation.
4 side booster has been separated from the core stage.
And the first stage rocket
Beautiful.
separation. You see the 5 bright dots? Those
yeah,
are
that's
the
right. It's
4
beautiful.
side boosters and the one
And also the
stage
core
1
stage,
rocket.
the first stage is also
Core
already
stage rocket.
separated.
So now the astronauts should be feeling really comfortable, and they're making some movement. You can see.
Oh, they're waving to the camera. I'm
And
telling
the
the
next
team they're okay.
operation will be jettisoning of the payload fairings.
I think that's the image of the stage 2 rocket engine.
Exactly. The
Coming
camera
up next.
mounted on towards the backward.
Right. Coming up next is the shutdown of the stage 2 rocket engine.
And there is only one main engine for the
Only
second
one
stage.
main engine
Okay.
and
Main
four
That's the
vernier
view
engines.
of the
one main
spacecraft,
engine
right?
and
That's
4
the-
more vernier engines. Vernier
Vernier.
engines is to control the
All
attitude.
right.
Yeah, the
That's the
fairing.
jettison of the
Yeah, yeah,
fairing. That's the solar panel you're seeing. Which module is that? Is that the orbital
It's
module,
the,
service
uh,
module? Service module. Is
It
it?
is separation of the payload fairings.
The fairing covers the service module as well as the capsule.
The camera, as you mentioned, is mounted on the I believe the propulsion module.
There you can see the Earth from the
Yes.
camera on the spacecraft.
Now we can already.
The ellipse of
That's
the
a great
Earth.
visual,
Beautiful. So a series of fast maneuvers and status reports there.
So far,
9:26 a.m. Beijing time here. About 4 minutes into the flight, everything continues to look good.
They should be already 100 kilometers above Earth already. That is
Wow, it's incredible to hear how fast the rocket.
the whole
is going.
process that before they are hitting the orbit, it just need like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes, 580 seconds also.
Yeah, roughly 10 minutes. Yeah.
And the next critical step will be the shutdown of the main engine. And then it will work on the 4 vernier engines. Vernier engines can rotate in different directions to control the attitude. And finally, and can adjust the orbit to be accurate enough.
So this engine you're seeing from the screen is very important because it has to have a surgical precision of when to shut down to eject that spacecraft into the precise altitude and position to catch up with the station.
And what's it like to endure so many G-forces? I guess we are going to hit the time when the crew will feel maximum G-forces before the second stage rocket shut down?
They've already passed the most inconvenient period.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, already. Because the thrust of the second stage is not very large.
Okay.
Only one engine, one main engine. Just before the separation.
And we really didn't notice much difference from their facial expression, from their body gesture. I guess they've been trained to endure such pressure.
We can see from the left screen that's the shows the data link between the ground station and the vehicle.
And that animation is based on real-time telemetry. It's not a pre-made video. It's really showing you what's going on in real time.
This is the real camera.
Yeah.
And you can see the sky become dark because it's already in outer space. It's black, pitch black.
The bright part is the Earth, is the horizon of the Earth,
And
very
there are
bright.
numerous cameras on this vehicle, and they have light on it to illuminate the rocket so that everything shows up on camera, and engineers can take a look at them, just in case of a problem or anything.
Because it's already in almost a vacuum condition, so the vibration is not so intensive than the initial stage.
So this engine, the second stage engine has been designed for just one main engine and 4 extra engines. This kind of design was specially designed for the precise orbit entering.
It comes from the original design of the Long March 2 rocket. So we saved a lot of money by using the same engine on the first and the second stage, just a different configuration with vacuum condition. But still we need the 4 vernier engines. Vernier engine is much smaller than the main engine, but with these engines we can have an accurate adjust of the orbit.
Okay.
It's almost 9:30 a.m. We're almost about 8 minutes into the flight. And keep in mind that this is China's first crewed mission since 2016, nearly 5 years ago. It's also China's 7th crewed spaceflight overall in the past 18 years. Ground tracking staff are saying everything is normal, is going nominal. You just saw some bright orange flame there.
The main engine is shut down.
Now it's been shut down. Another critical step being completed.
So now those astronauts
Now they're floating.
Oh, they're
Now
floating.
they're floating. So
Now they're supposed to feel more comfortable.
they do look like they're a bit more at ease now. They're looking at their flight manual.
We can hear from the voice that it shows that the USB, the tracking, the radio tracking, and also the optical cameras tracking very normal. So the vernier engine, the 4 vernier engines is still working to adjust its orbit very accurately.
Yeah, and they're looking out of the window. You can see the light from the window.
Yeah.
on
This
the
is a camera on
spacecraft.
board on the propulsion module.
Okay.
You can see the
Solar
folded panels, the 4 pieces of panels on one side.
And coming up next will be the spacecraft separation.
Exactly. After the shutdown of the 4 vernier engines.
So in fact, they're fine-tuning their attitude
Yes.
and to make sure that it's facing at the right directions before they shut down and separate the engine.
Yeah.
Usually the separation is near the eastern coast of Shandong province.
How this spacecraft is gonna find the Tampa core module in space? I mean, there's nothing that you can use to.
Well, there's so many things. I mean, there's signals that transmitting to each other. Their navigation systems, their BeiDou, they're communicating, and their ground crews are supporting. So this time the astronaut doesn't have to do too much, and it's going to be automatic, fast connection.
Yes.
The robotic just take care of
Automatic
everything.
rendezvous and
Yeah.
docking.
The Shenzhou 12 mission, once again, will last about 3 months in space, the longest stay in space to date by Chinese astronauts.
Oh, separation.
All right, you see the great separation of
stage is
spacecraft.
Great.
Second stage is drifting away.
That's right.
So the next critical step will be the unfolding of the solar panels.
Solar panels. Wow.
So once the separation is done, the capsule and the service module has to adjust its own attitude.
And you can see the spacecraft, the full view of the spacecraft from that 3D animation, right? You can see the returning capsule in the middle, and then the orbiting module and the service module. Another great view of the Earth.
That's just the, yeah.
This is a video from the camera mounted on your spacecraft.
As we're just standing by for the deployment of solar panels.
Look at our home.
The voice says that the data link between the vehicle and the data relay satellites has
Yeah,
been
you can
established.
see there's a pin is floating.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're
if you look
tossing
at
things
the,
around.
Yeah.
look inside this
They are just
There you
enjoying
have
the
it.
microgravity now.
I think the astronauts are just showing off to us.
There's one first timer.
Oh, they just won't let us know.
This is the first time for
I
Hongbo.
tell you that.
First time for Homeboy, so it's going to be an exciting journey.
All right. So this is the Shenzhou 12 mission, and this mission will involve a series of technical verification tasks related to the performance and function of the Tianhe core module. It will include extravehicular activity using EVA suits delivered by Tianzhou 2, the cargo ship, and the verification of the regenerative life support system. So everything's going to happen after 6 or 7 hours later, right? After the docking with the
exactly.
Tianhe core module.
And you can see the movement of the blue Earth around the spacecraft. So
Yeah.
it's really
Just
moving very nice.
amazing.
Great picture here.
That's right.
华山出轨根数及分离点参数发出，景山。
The voice tells
There
us
you see the deployment of solar panels.
Now the solar panel is
Yeah.
unfolding.
unfolded.
Major tearings in
Normally
the
for
audience
satellite
now.
Launch, this would be the success signal.
Oh, yeah.
So at this
There you
moment,
have
the
it.
spacecraft has continuous power supply.
That was, oh, this is the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. The image earlier was from Beijing. This is the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center once again.
So the guys who's responsible for rockets are relaxed. Their job is done. So now it's up to the life support system.
That's also a relay race, right?
Yes, yes.
And this is from Beijing Aerospace City.
And it's a spacecraft right now in the same orbit of
Yeah,
the
it's the
Tianhe core
same
module.
altitude,
The same.
but they need to have final adjustment so that they can catch up with the.
At this moment, the Shenzhou 12 is in the same orbital plane of the Tianhe 1,
天路
but
1
with
号
a
领
different
自
altitude.
跟踪正常，前反向数据收发正常。
Usually, the apogee is 200 kilometers, and the perigee is 200 kilometers, and the apogee depends on the control, and usually more than 300 kilometers high.
Up until now, everything is going well, but we don't want to call it too early. We are standing by for an official announcement from the launch team that's going to happen any moment from now.
We should confirm, as we already heard the voice, that the initial orbit parameters has been sent to the ground stations, but we still need to verify and checking the accurate orbital parameters, because you know that these orbital parameters must be accurate enough to ensure that it can have the chance to dock with the station.
Yeah.
So only in this moment we can announce the success of the launch.
So-
Not only launch into orbit, but still need to be accurate enough.
So lots of calculations there going on.
If it is
on the
not
ground.
accurate, it will waste a lot of propellants. So maybe not make it impossible to dock with the station.
So we'll be taking a few burns before we catch up. So it's going to be using the apogee and perigee as well as the inclination to catch up with the station. So at the precise point, it will burn the engine to lift the altitude of the Shenzhou, so it can have a precise alignment with the Tianhe.
Usually we have 5 to 6 orbit maneuvers before docking
航程
with
报
the
告，
station.
座舱环境正常。
and it will be done automatically.
神舟12
How the,
号
depends
the
on
maneuver, the orbit maneuver will be.
So this the ground staff will be more relaxed because it will be done by the vehicle itself.
座舱环境正常，可以
But also
打
the
开面
astronauts
窗。
could kick in to maneuver
Usually,
like that.
no, this will be not because that it will be calculated in the onboard computers, not by the astronauts. Only in some emergency cases, the astronaut can do something.
Oh, they are.
Oh, they're waving
Oh,
hands
they're
to us.
helmets.
Hello.
They're waving to cameras. Well, a way of telling our team there they're okay,
长
and
江
another
6
way of
号
saying
跟
thank
踪
you.
正常。
Yes, just now we have just heard that the capsule itself has a good environment to open the helmet.
That is perfect.
So
It's,
this means that for the third time, Mr.聶海胜visited the outer space.
Yeah.
He becomes the second astronaut in China, just after Jing Haipeng, who have achieved 3 missions.
3 missions. Battery.
impressive.
And
And
it's
we're
gonna be
about
salute to the battery.
16 minutes into the flight.
So the person who stays in space for the longest period of time, that would be his
you,
record.
you can see Tang Hongbo and Liu Boming who's sitting beside the window
They're
looking
watching out
yeah,
through the window.
enjoying, take it all in. The majestic view.
As I mentioned,
But
it
Nihai
is the
should-
most favorite thing of the astronauts.
Yes.
Just
帆板
enjoy the
发
view
电
of
正
the Earth.
常。
And it seems the solar panels are working properly.
各号注意，我是
You
北
can
京。
actually hear the astronauts
Yes.
talking to each other.
They're talking about the velocity, 7.8, 7.9. That means
神
kilometers
舟
per
12号
second.
飞船已进入近地点高度200
They're
公
looking
里，
at their own speed.
远地点高度
Yeah.
348公里，倾角41.3度，周期1小时30分钟的预定轨道。太阳帆板展开，飞船工况正常，航天员状态良好。北京出轨根数及飞点参数已向各方向发出，后续工作按照正常计划实施。东风。
Talk to us what we
华山。
just heard there. A series of
We
status
heard
reports.
that the initial orbit, the perigee is
江阴。
200 kilometers, and the apogee is 345 kilometers, which means that it's a little bit lower than the than our station. This also means, as Yan Song has mentioned, it will circle in the Earth faster than the Tiangong, Tianhe, and it can act as a chasing vehicle.
To
with
move- to
with
move
several
a little
orbits,
up.
it can go closer to the station. So after they close to within the distance of 52 kilometers, the long distance guidance will be ended, and then they will depend on the relative measurements. As I mentioned, the microwave radar, the lidar, and also the optical sensors to achieve the automatic docking.
So they also mentioned about the inclination 41 degrees, and they also mentioned about the route parameters. The route parameters is for the vehicle to maneuver, and based on that route parameters, and all the ground control team has to know that exact number to know where to start with. So that's all the report, which means basically means it's a good and successful launch.
I was going to ask you that. Based on those data, how good of a launch was it?
Well,
A
so
lot of
far, so
jargon going
good.
on.
So far, so good. Yeah.
北京东风报告。我是北京东风，请讲。
下面请发射场局指挥部指挥长、中国9全卫星发射中心张志芬主任宣布发射结果。
北京明白，各号注意收听。
各位领导，
Honorable leaders,
根据
comrades,
北京航天飞行
according
控
to
制
the
中心
report
通
from
报
the，Beijing Aerospace
长
Control
征2
Center,
号 F 112
Long
火箭
March 2 FY-12
已将
rocket
神舟12号
has
载
sent
人飞船
Shenzhou 12
准确
manned
射入预定
spacecraft
轨
to
道
the preset
帆板
orbit.
展开，
The solar
工
panel
作正
unfolded
常。
functionally
我宣布，
well
神
and
舟
also
12号
successfully.
发射
I
任
now
务
declare the
取得
launch of Shenzhou
圆满
12
成
mission
功。
a complete success.
北京东风报告，发射结果宣布完毕。
北京明白， 各号注意，今天的发射任务到此结束，请按计划做好运行段测控工作。东风，
东风明白，
华山，
华山明白，
江阴，
江阴明白，
天路，
天路明白，
长江6号，
长江6号明白。
10号。知道。
you.